You're listening to AI Prism from Seoul Economic Daily.
It's Tuesday, June 9. I'd like to share some thoughts about Front Page Daily. So imagine erasing 554 trillion won, which is about 401 billion US dollars, in just a single afternoon.
Yeah, that is a tremendous amount of capital to just disappear.
It really is. And that is exactly what happened in Korea this week when the KOSPI, the benchmark stock index there, triggered its first circuit breaker since March.
Right, an automatic trading halt.
Exactly. The index dropped 8.3% on June 8. But, while foreign investors are fleeing the markets, Nvidia is quietly building a $6.5 billion AI infrastructure project on Korea's west coast.
It's quite the contrast.
Right. So if you are listening and tracking global tech, you really need to understand how these two extremes are colliding right now.
Well, the timing of this market correction is definitely fascinating. I mean, you have foreign investors offloading a net 69.7 trillion won, or roughly $50.5 billion, and that is over 21 consecutive days.
Wow, 21 days straight. Why the sudden exit, though?
It largely comes down to U.S. payroll data coming in hot. That stokes fears that U.S. interest rates will stay higher for longer.
Right, and when safe U.S. yields look attractive, capital just naturally flows out of emerging tech markets.
Exactly. Plus, Korea's 3-year government bond yield just hit 4.00% for the first time in 42 months. So, the Bank of Korea, the central bank there, is clearly battling its own sticky domestic inflation.
I see. So we probably shouldn't view this as some structural collapse of the Korean tech sector.
No, definitely not.
Because, the market had already rallied 166% over the past year. This foreign sell-off feels a bit more like a pressure valve finally releasing.
Right.
Like investors were just looking for a macroeconomic excuse to lock in those gains.
Precisely. The foundational technology sector hasn't suddenly broken. In fact, if you look past the paper valuations, physical AI infrastructure is actually accelerating on the ground.
Right. Which brings us to Nvidia.
Yes. Nvidia CEO Jensen Huang just committed 9 trillion won, which is that $6.5 billion figure you mentioned earlier, to build an AI data center in the Saemangeum AI Valley. That is a massive reclaimed land zone on the West Coast.
And the way they are doing this is what gets really interesting. He isn't just hiring one single contractor.
No, he is orchestrating a partnership between 5 major family-controlled conglomerates, or cables. We are talking SK, LG, Hyundai, Naver, and Doosan.
Wait, historically, aren't those companies fierce rivals?
They absolutely are, but AI demands complete vertical integration now. No single company can do it all.
So how are they dividing up the work?
Well, you have SK providing the high bandwidth memory and LG handling the intense liquid cooling.
Oh, right.
Then Hyundai is physically constructing the center, Naver is running the cloud architecture, and Doosan is actually supplying small modular reactors just to meet the immense power needs.
Small nuclear reactors just for a data center. That is notable.
It really shows that the hardware requirements are just that extreme. It is an unprecedented alliance.
It really locks Korea in as the physical bedrock of the global AI supply chain. When SK Hynix said they plan to double their memory capacity by 2030, Wang flatly told them that it's not enough.
Yeah, the scale is hard to comprehend, which actually brings us to the political side of things. President Lee Jae-myung just had his first-year press conference.
Right, and he announced his priority of building what he called ultra-differentiated industrial power.
He did. He even launched a fund to deploy surplus tax revenue directly into these future growth sectors rather than paying down national debt.
That is a strong signal. Did he address anything else?
Yes, he demanded a complete overhaul of election management. This is about accountability after the recent National Election Commission ballot shortages. But the critical economic signal beyond the tax fund was a push to tighten property holding taxes to combat real estate speculation.
Wait, let me push back on that for a second. President Lee wants this ultra-differentiated industrial power, but he is simultaneously signaling property tax hikes.
Yes, that is the stated policy direction.
Isn't that totally contradictory? You can't actively recruit massive land-heavy manufacturing facilities for Nvidia and these conglomerates and then suddenly hit them with higher real estate taxes. Think about what that does to a multinational's cost projections.
That is the exact tension that businesses are analyzing right now. If those signals become actual legislation, it fundamentally alters the return on investment for building these hyperscale facilities in Korea.
Because the real estate overhead could quickly outpace whatever subsidies they get from the tax fund.
Exactly.
So for the international professional trying to understand what this means for global markets, what are the immediate tripwires we need to watch?
In the short term, you will want to keep an eye on the June 10 U.S. CPI release and the June 11 quadruple witching day.
Right, which will likely inject more volatility into the markets.
Definitely. And longer term, you need to watch how President Lee's surplus tax fund legislation actually takes shape against those property tax threats.
It really makes you wonder, if physical infrastructure, land, and power are the true bottlenecks for this technology, maybe the next great AI war won't be fought over software algorithms at all.
That is a great point.
It might just be fought over who controls the raw electricity and cooling water. Something to chew on the next time you ask a chatbot a question.
Truly.
That's today's AI Prism, Front Page Daily. This episode was produced with AI assistance based on Seoul Economic Daily reporting and reviewed by a human editor. AI Prism is a One IRA award-winning series. We'll be back tomorrow.
You've been listening to AI Prism from Seoul Economic Daily.